This is second video in monitoring series, and today we're going to talk about monitoring Windows containers with Prometheus monitoring system deployed on Kubernetes. And to get those metrics, we are going to use monitoring agent called Sonar that can be configured to collect metrics that are most important to you, and then expose those metrics to Prometheus. So first, let's go through prerequisites. The first one is, of course, Prometheus itself. So you can go to Prometheus.io website, learn more about Prometheus. This site has great documentation, and you should be able to get Prometheus free and install wherever you would like. The second ingredient, which you can get from this site, is monitoring agent called Sonar. So in my case, I already have Kubernetes with Prometheus installed. So let's look at Sonar. If I follow the link, you can go to knowledge base, click on article that has instructions how to install Sonar on Windows container. And at the end of this article, there is a link to Web API sample that you can easily install on your own. And what the sample will do is show you how to create Web API in .NET and then deploy Windows container on Nano Server with Sonar monitoring, so you can collect metrics from IaaS and processor, memory, and so on. So I already have done that, so the sample has been completed. And the rest of the video will go over the second sample, which is about monitoring. So you can see instructions, they're very simple. And what you need to do is discover how to let Prometheus know where your Windows containers is to scrape it. And then see the metrics coming in. So what I'm going to do next is just run through this sample. So in my case, I need to discover where my Docker container first. Still do this. I will just go to Windows Server with Docker, and you see this is my Nano Server container. And there are two ports exposed. 8050 is used to collect metrics from Sonar, and 556 is the port with .NET Web API. So let's look at the metrics first. Okay, so now you see all the metrics here. This is perfectly fine. So you can see processor information and the processes that are exposed by Sonar. And again, if I run the ps command, you will see the container f60. So far so good. Now let's get Prometheus, know that there is in fact external container that it needs to be monitoring. So let's start first by looking at Prometheus. So you see Prometheus itself on Kubernetes. So there is just 3 service endpoints, nothing more. So let's create the first one, and to do this, I'll just follow this sample. Just run these commands very quick. Okay. So as you see here, what I did is modify the sample with actual IP address and the port exposed by container. So at this point, Prometheus already has annotations here to know where Sonar endpoint is exposed and start getting the metrics. Let's go and check it out. So first of all, we have a Kubernetes dashboard here with a few pods. Here is the Prometheus. So let's look at services. And you see here is Nanometrics that I just created. And there is IP of external host, the Nano Server host with exposed metrics. So now we need to check if Prometheus found it. So we can just go to Prometheus and see if it discovered the new endpoint. And you see it's right here, 8050. So all good. Next, we can go and look at dashboard and see where is our new container. It was F600 if I'm not mistaken. So here is our container, and you see all the metrics are starting to come in. So I can probably zoom to last 5 minutes. Nothing was running. And you see we're starting to collect a lot of information, including number of threads, working thread for processes, handles, private bytes, user time, network. And the most interesting one is IS. So you see what Sonar is configured to do is monitor post and gets, which are just performance counters. So what we can do now is try to execute some web requests for IIS and see what happens. So I do have web test, and that's exposed to second port, 8556. So what I'm going to do is just run 200 iterations and see what's going to happen. So as you see, the test is working. I'm invoking web API. I can do it maybe one more time. And if everything goes well, we should be able to see metrics. So we can run probably a few more, but let's check what's happening here. So you see from IIS, we already got 3 operations per second. Web API is running. And then we got W3WP, which is IIS. And the web API executing. So even with 200 requests, we already got some information about what's going on. From this point forward, you can monitor your Windows container like you monitor, or any server for that matter. Create alerts using Grafana or Prometheus itself. And most importantly, you can monitor Sonar and Prometheus anywhere and use the same monitoring approach, which is completely cloud native. Thank you.